Hello everyone and welcome to our exam. So in this video we are going to discuss the topic file system in operating system. So file system is an important topic when it comes to operating system and we have to learn about this particular topic. So before coming to file system we should know what is a file. So file is a collection of related information that is recorded on secondary storage. Okay, so files are not always recorded on secondary storage, they are also recorded on primary one, but on primary storage they are lost. So if you are making a file persistent in nature, that file will reside only on the secondary storage. So file is a collection of related documents. So whenever you will make a file, you make sure there is a information which is relatable enough and it is a collection of relatable information. After that thing, file is a collection of logically related entities, and from the user's perspective, a file is the smallest allotment of the logical secondary storage. In general, files are nothing, but it depends if it is a text file or a binary file or a executable file. So generally it is a sequence of bytes, lines of record whose meaning is defined by the creator and the user. So what type of file you are creating, why it is getting created, and how it is getting created will define the sequence and the content of that file. After that thing, once we understand the file, we should know what are the things are associated with the file. So when it comes to a file will have a type, right? Which type of file it is? When you are creating a doc file in Word, that will be having doc extension. Executable file will have exe extension. PDF files in Adobe will have PDF extension. So things associated with a file comes like file type, operations like create, open, delete, write, these kinds of operations are uh, related to file when it comes to scenario, and also the attributes like what is the name of the file, what is the size, when it was last updated, what is the author name, what is the type, and all these things are the attributes. So whenever a file is getting created, there are some things which are associated with the file, and these are all that. In the corner you can see an image where we have different types of file like txt file, that is the text file, the doc file, the xls file which is an excel file, the ppt, the rar file, the mpg, the jpg, the zip formatted files, the pdf, the avis, the pngs, and the eps. So these are different types of files. There are many more, but for your understanding I have put some of them onto this particular video. Now, after understanding what is a file and what are the things associated with the file, we will be understanding what is a file structure. So a file structure should be according to a required format that the operating system can understand. So file system has to be operated on the operating system. So it should be in a manner which is understandable by the operating system. So what all kind of file structures and file types are supported on the operating system, according to that only we operate with the file structure. So a file has a certain defined structure according to its type. Like I said, if it will be a txt file, it will contain the text. It will be a mpg file, it will create the other things. If it will be a pdf, it will contain the things according to pdf format. So depending upon the type, the structures and the contents are defined. A text file is a sequence of characters organized into lines. A source file, which like a code file, is a sequence of procedure and functions. Whenever we write a code, so that code is the source file. This will be compiled by the compiler. So what is it originally? It is basically the procedure and the functions that we have. An object file is a sequence of bytes. Like if we get the object file, once we get the compilation thing done, so it is readable by the computer. So it will be a sequence of bytes organized into blocks that are understandable by the machine. Now, when the operating system define different file structure, it also contain the codes to support these file structures. So there are many times when, let's say, if you don't have Adobe in your operating system installed, then what will happen? If you try to open the PDF format, they will say that, okay, this type of extension is not allowed to get opened. So many times we don't have that code to support the file structures, and we need to install some software so that our file of that particular specific type will get executed over our operating system. So note the thing, if your operating system is not compatible with any particular kind of file structure, it will not be allowing you to manipulate or to open that particular file. So before having any kind of file, we have to get the required support of the code in the file structure. After that thing, understanding the file and file structure, we have to understand the file system. So what is the file system? So file system is an integral part of an operating system, because at the end everything is managed in the file system. So file system can be considered as a data structure that can store data and information on storage devices like hard drives, floppy disks, and these kinds of structures, and making them very easily retrievable. So whenever we are making a file, we make sure whenever we want to access that file is easily accessible, that is easily retrievable. Now different operating system uses different kind of file system, but all have similar features. So there will be some kind of files which will not be opened on the Windows environment. There will be some type of files which will not be opened on the Mac environment. So depending upon the operating system, different file systems are adopted. Let's see what kind of things we have now. So the most important part of the file system is a method to index the files on the hard drive. So as I said, we have a file system, so the files should be accessible very easily. They should be retrieved very easily. So for that method, we have an index file that is used to locate the desired resource or the desired file onto that particular hard drive. Where is our file? How to find? To find that file, we use the index files. Okay. This index allows the operating system to know at any given point of time where that particular specific file is located on the hard drive. And depending on the operating system, there are different kind of file system, and thus different indexing methods are used. For example, the method that we are going to use on Windows will be different from that we are going to use on Linux. Now we will understand the Windows file system, then Mac file system, and then the Linux file system. So how these are relatable and how these are different, you will get to know by learning these things. So Windows file system, so it supports three kind of file systems. One is FAT, that is file allocation table. Then the next one is Ntfs, that is new technology file system. And the last one is XFAT. Okay, so it is an extension to the file allocation table. So coming to the first one, FAT, that is coming as 12, 16 or 32.1. So it is actually a table to index the file on the disk. Okay, and this file allocation table is very simple to implement and to use, and it can be somehow slow. Okay, because it was very earlier made, so at that point of time the main motive was to get the file retrieved, so it does not use that high level of indexing, so that's why it is a little bit slow. Now coming to Ntfs, it uses the binary tree, and as we all know, using the binary tree, the accessibility come at very low cost. So it is very complex at the same time, but it allows very fast access to our resources. It builds on the feature of FAT, adds new feature, changes other features, and it is a recoverable file system, which means that it keeps track of all the actions that you take in the file system, and if they are recoverable, it will be done also, means backup and recovery features are also there. Then the XFAT, that is the extension to the file allocation table. It is very lightweighted file system. It is primarily used in the flash storage application and the SD cards. Okay, wherever we have extra storage on that particular thing, it is being used. It has large file size and the partition size limits. Like you can store a lot of data, like on hard drive there will also come at a time a limitation over the size, but if you are using the extra SD cards or the flash storage applications, your extension to the storage will get increased, and then you can store over large files like 4 GB or a flash drive or an SD card, and that is formatted with the XFAT. So accessing that all thing will be done on Windows using the XFAT. Now coming to Mac operating system, it uses HFS plus file system and APFS. So APFS is very new one. It is not a very old technology, but HFS is a old one which was used in iPhones. So it also uses the B trees to index on the disk, and these are like B trees are different than binary trees. They are not the B trees. B trees we discussed in DPMS. Okay, so these are the things that is related to B trees, which allow the fast access, and in an order they look similar to binary tree, but in accessibility they are different. Okay, now coming to APFS, they are actually using the B trees to index file, but they are actually the replacement of HFS plus system on Mac operating system. Okay, and on iOS 10.3 versions, on the versions which are successor to 10.3, this particular file system is being adopted. After that thing, Linux file system. So Linux file system is a system where we do not have accessibility to every kind of thing. It is a very limited thing. It is more secure operating system. So if you are running Linux, it depends what type of Windows you are running, sorry, what type of Linux environment you are running onto. So depending upon that particular environment, your file system will be covering the things. So some of them are using extension 2, 3, 4, and 5, JFS, and few others are also used. The most common one is the ext3, that is extension 3, and it is a journaling extension to the extension 2 file system on the Linux. So journaling is a method of recording data that results in massively reduced time spent recovering a file system after a crash. So many times you can see, even if you are having a crash on Linux, there are many times that you can retrieve the data, and that particular thing is happening due to the journaling of the file system. Xfs is also fast. It uses the B trees for the file indexing. So you can see we are having different kind of file system, but at the end, for the high level indexing and the higher accessibility rate, all the things at the end are using the B trees in their core. So you can connect the dots that B tree is the one which is used for the file indexing as well, and it is very important when it comes to the file system in the operating system. So this was all on the file system in the operating system. So I hope you like this video, and there was many good information that are very much relevant for your IBPS RRB IT officer exam, as the exam will be happening in October. Today we are starting on July, so we have enough amount of time, not that amount of time, it will be reducing day by day. So if you love our videos, our channel, you can enroll our course that will be providing you video lessons, study notes, practice tests, live session with the interview guidance, and we'll be starting with the all kind of preparation. We'll be giving you all dimensions that are required for the IBPS or RRB IT officer. If you like this video, do hit the like button, and if you are an unsubscribed user and watching this video, so please hit the subscribe button and subscribe the channel, and be in touch to get the regular updates for IBPS or RRB IT officer content related to quants, English, reasoning, GA, and IT. So for the time we bring the next video on RRB IT, keep practicing and stay updated.